Disney trip. My cousin from England and his kids, and my cousins from Chico, and my sister, and my brother-in-law, and everybody. So it was fun. There's a lot of moving parts because they all have kids. And that being said, my goal in this conversation is to share with you like how to manage your fat loss, whether you're trying to lose fat or you're maintaining fat loss, on things such as a Disney trip or any kind of trip. Okay, so first and foremost, the weight, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to tell you the accurate perspective here. So I think the weight day before or day of was 170.8, and then today was 167.4. So did I lose 3 pounds? Wrong question. What I want to focus, I don't want to focus. I've talked about it many, many times. Like, I don't care about day-to-day fluctuations. I care about rolling averages because that's what gives me an accurate picture of what's going on. All right. So rather than, because remember, the 3 E's that, we always talk about are the 4 E's. Equanimity. You don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low. The obvious problems with getting too low is, you feel shitty and you don't want to do stuff. But when you get too high, it's very easy to something to screw you up, and then it just throws everything because you get too close to the sun, and then, the next small thing happens and then you're crashing back down. So we don't want to get too high. We don't want to get too low. The focus is on the stuff, which is tracking in an enjoyable and peaceful way, right? So, all right, cool. I wanted to emphasize that, like, the weight change doesn't matter. What matters is, did I do the right stuff, okay? Because this trip was only 2 days, 3 days. There's gonna be other things that come up, but I don't want these 2-3 day things to, be every time that happens, then I'm like, fuck, I just ate 5,000 calories. Fuck it, I'll start next week. You have, the more false starts you have, the more bad you begin to feel, and it becomes very difficult to be consistent. So let's do a little recap of how I kind of handled this. One, some important things to note. I hit 30,000 steps on the first day, and I hit 25,000 steps on the second day. Yesterday was the day we were traveling. We flew back, and yesterday I got like 11,000. And I will say, like, 30,000 steps is my all-time record, and by the time we got into the hotel at like midnight, I was passed the fuck out. But it's good. So here's kind of the things that, the things that happen. All right. So like day one was California Adventure. I had already started, like, anytime I was waiting around for my wife, whether it was at the airport, whether, I was on the phone with talking to guys from the stores, right? I was pacing. So I was trying to up my steps as much as possible throughout the day, even well before we got into the park. Okay, so that's very important. And the rough ballpark of this is like every 10,000 steps. We don't want to like start depending on this and put too much emphasis, but for your knowledge, every 10,000 steps is roughly 250 calories, right? Obviously, it can be higher if you're a bigger person. It's going to be lower if you're smaller, but just ballpark it, just like we want to keep nice even numbers that are easy to do math with. So, you know, every 10,000 steps is 250. So, you know, I had like 750 calories in the bank from that, just as like a running mental log in my head. And I wanted to increase that as much as possible, because if I did end up overeating food, then I wasn't like too worried about it. Not that you should worry anyways, but you know, okay. So we got into the hotel. We ordered. We hadn't eaten all day. This was like 2:00. No, this was like noon. So I got into the hotel already having consumed 5 of those Oikos Pro smoothies. So that was 115 grams of protein before I even arrived in Anaheim. Okay. And I've shown this to you guys before, the little 7-ounce Oikos Pro smoothies. And if you know, like sometimes the protein shakes can be a little bit heavy and like it's a lot of liquid, but these little, they're practically like little shots. And so in the morning before I left for Anaheim, I had hit 5 of those over like a few hours. So I had 115 grams ready to go. We get into the hotel and, you know, my wife was hungry, so we ordered room service. She ordered some salmon and rice, and I ordered a grilled chicken sandwich. By the way, the Westin by Disneyland, that's a great hotel, and it's like a 20-minute walk. It's actually around the corner, but it takes about a 20-minute walk to get into Disneyland. But they got good food there. Usually, like, I'm not a big fan of hotel food, but they had good room service. And so that chicken sandwich, which was delicious, of course, I had some fries. That chicken sandwich was it was like 5 ounces. So it was, I think it was like 40-ish grams of protein again. So before I'm even in the park, most of my protein is taken care of. And so protein is going to be the toughest thing for people, and so we want to prioritize it, and that's where we go back to the 7 P's. Planning produces peace, and prioritizing protein produces possibilities. So, you know, you already see those pieces in action. I had already planned the Oikos, and I had already prioritized the protein. So then for the rest of the day, I have a lot of optionality. We ate that, we go to the park. And the first thing that everybody's doing is when we meet up with them, they're already like, they're eating in San Fran, Tokyo, whatever that place is in California Adventure. So we ordered some tacos. I ate one taco. Honestly, it wasn't very good. The Mexican place inside of California Adventure. And I ate half of a crispy potato taco from my wife. So I added those up, and you know, at this point I'm still pretty low on calories. So like in my head, I'm like, I had given my normal range is 2,000. I had given myself up to like 2,500. And so at this point I've taken care of all my protein, and I'm still around 1,800 calories, about 19. And then from there, my focus was like, okay, we're going to maximize steps. The one mistake I made, when you're going to walk that much and you're going to have that level of activity, plus it was hot, you want to make sure you got as much vitamins and minerals and hydration as possible. You will feel better. So what I like to do, at least when I go to Disneyland, is the first thing I do is we walk in, I grab 1 pickle, 1 pineapple spear, and a bottle of water. Those are like the first things. So A, real foods, tons of vitamins and minerals. B, they got a lot of water in them, so that's hydration. And C, they're gonna fill you up. So these are low calorie density foods, but they fill you up. So now even when we do go and eat something, you know, like very calorie dense, I'm not going to eat as much because I am pretty full. Like you know, the other thing that a lot of people don't consider is digestion. I know for a fact that more people have digestive issues than we'll ever admit. One of the things that's going to help, obviously, if you lose weight, your digestion will improve. If you lift weights, your digestion will improve. But obviously the other thing is, if you get proper hydration and vitamins and minerals, your digestion will improve. Okay, so we won't go into that right now, but you know, I know a lot of people struggle with stomach stuff, so you know, take that into consideration, because that's not a way to live, right? And trust me, when you go into public places like that and you go to use the bathroom and you're hearing all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, okay, there's people got some problems, right? All right. From there, we started doing the rides and whatever and walking around. And the other food item that I did eat, and by the way, at all times, I usually have like a diet soda with me and a like a water. So, you know, I have something to preoccupy me. We went on the Cars ride, and then so we were gonna head out. Oh, and we headed out, and then we went over to Disneyland. But before we went, one of the things that I do like about California Adventure is we always like to grab a hot dog or one of the shawarmas. And so we did that. And my cousin, so he wanted a beer, so I had a beer with him, and we had a hot dog. I actually, like I said, since I was so full and I drank that entire 16-ounce beer, which normally I don't drink beer, I had that beer and I ate half of the hot dog and I ate some fries, of course. So that was the majority of the food. Plus, I still had a churro because we always have a churro when we go to Disneyland. Usually later on in the evening, we get coffee and a churro. Log those. And then that was it food-wise. And then, so by the time we got home, we went on a few more rides. And so it was like 12 o'clock. I was actually, at that point, I was a little bit hungry. I was like, we didn't eat that much. I think that totaled out to 2,100 calories, I think, by that point. And then me and my wife split a cheeseburger in the hotel, which got us up to like 2,500. And I finished with 215 grams of protein. Okay, all that being said, this is kind of the thought process that happens like automatically in my brain. Like this, I know it took me 14 minutes to explain this, but that's because there's a lot of context. You know, I'm talking about a lot of different things. But in reality, real time, this is taking no time at all. And that's just because of practice. And that's what I want to really like emphasize, is that although it's taken me 14 minutes to explain to you my thought process and, you know, the mental math that happened, and it sounds complicated, in real time, it didn't take any time. Nobody knew a thing about what I was doing, and I was just logging it as I went, and like, it was not an issue at all. But that's not gonna happen until you practice tracking calories. It's just a skill. It is the best skill. And, you know, like, these are the types of situations where it really makes a difference, because, like, you don't have your prepped food and blah, blah, blah. Oh, one other thing I will say, and then I'll wrap it up for today. And this was before we headed out at some point, and I went a 32-ounce bottle of V8, which has tons of vitamins and minerals. It has a lot of sodium and potassium, which is very important. And so I grabbed that, and I grabbed another 4 protein shakes for the next day. So now I'm set for the next day. So this is, again, an application of the 7-piece framework, and that, 10-second planning, which produces the piece. Okay, so that was day 1. If you have questions on any of this stuff, message me on Instagram, leave a comment, find me wherever, and I'll answer that for you. And like I said, everybody can do this, and life is so much better when you're leaner and stronger. You don't have to be, but I will tell you, if you're watching this video, you want that. Like, you're not going to be watching this video if you don't want to be leaner and stronger. So I want to help as many people as possible, and I want to see as many people win, because remember, there's a lot of bullshit in the world that is about tearing other people down. The strongest lift you can do is to lift up another person. Maybe we'll talk about this another day, but somebody that I have a very good idea. I think I know who this person is. They left a series of very mean and shitty comments on my Instagram and my Facebook anonymously, and it just, I'm like, damn, bro, like, what must you be going through? And like, on one hand, like, man, I will go off, but that's not the way, that I want to conduct myself, and nor do I need to, right? So the reason I bring that up is there is a lot of people who find some weird satisfaction, and I can get it. I can, visualize what that might be, when other people are torn down, right? And so they want to build the highest building in the city by tearing everybody else's buildings down. We want to build the highest building in the city by building the highest building in the city, and that has nothing to do with anybody else. It doesn't take away from anybody else. And so I just want to emphasize that, and I want to practice that by saying, like, look, every fucking person can do this. And I want to see every person, if you watch this and you hear this, I want you to succeed, not just physically, because that's a big component, but I want you to fucking win in all areas of your life. And I will do my part in trying to share that message, okay? Because when I see, like, it does make me sad, because I'm like, damn, like, I'm a peaceful, loving person who wants harmony. I want everybody to win. Don't get me wrong, I am competitive as hell. Like, I'm trying to be the best at what I'm doing. And like, if we're playing basketball, I'm not gonna, like, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a problem on your hands. But my point is, we can all, like, whatever. The world is the world. We want to help the people who want to be helped, that we can help. And so that's my message here, okay? Because I want to just double down on that, especially because this person left these messages on my, anonymously left these messages on my public pages. And like, if you got a problem with me, I think I know who this person is. I'm like, just come find me. You know where I am. You know where you, well, we'll leave it at that. I hope you have a fantastic day. That was a quick recap of day 1. We'll do another recap of day 2, which was a little bit different. So we'll discuss those things.